Good evening, Mia Gradney here in the KHOU 11 newsroom with some breaking news. A major traffic alert on the south side. We want to show you some live pictures of what we are following at this time. This is I-45, the Gulf Freeway at the South Loop. We understand this is the South Loop East. This is the ramp headed to 45 South, if you're familiar with that area. And what has transpired here, we have an 18-wheeler fire. You're seeing the end of the fire here, or what we assume is the end of the fire, because at times we have thought that this fire has been extinguished and then we see it re-spark. This is an 18-wheeler. HFD confirms for it that it is a tanker truck hauling natural sulfuric acid. I'm going to work to give you a little bit more information about exactly what is natural sulfuric acid. But we do know that apparently you can't put water on it, and we haven't really seen any water in response to this fire that dropped at 6:58 this evening, just shortly before 7 o'clock. We've seen the Houston Fire Department respond, as well as hazmat crews. We do know at this time there's no evacuation orders in place for the immediate area, nor no shelter in place in the immediate area as well. HFD tells us that they are monitoring the health, air quality there, the air quality in regards to your health, I should say. Also, any concerns there, they're going to continue monitoring. We're going to await an update. We know that the hazmat chief is either en route and responding to this incident. We have a crew headed there as we show you these live pictures from Transtar. Again, it looks like this fire has been extinguished, and as you look at this tanker truck, we're trying to determine exactly what was on fire. It's difficult from this vantage point to be able to see where is the cab of this truck. If you look to the left of the image, is that the cab, and it's been, it's jackknifed, so the cab is tilted in a different direction and it's being obscured by that tanker from our vantage point? Or was that the cab on the back end where they're extinguishing the fire? Or potentially was that an entire other vehicle that caught fire as well? These are all questions that we're going to have for HFD and the hazmat response there as well. File. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, so let's take a look at, I was talking with our web producer here, Ann, by the way. Let's take a look at some earlier images that we caught. Remember, I said this started at 6:58, so it burned for a pretty good while, at least 30 to 35 minutes as well. So she's gonna work on getting that video. In the meantime, I'm gonna ask David Paul to come in, because while we're hearing that there's no immediate concern with the air, I think naturally, given the situation, people are still curious. So David, we know it's been cold. What about the winds tonight?
Well, when we saw those flames, we were very concerned, because we do know that the tanker itself is carrying sulfuric acid. That's what we believe it's holding. We had a huge fire there at the right end of that tanker. We were, of course, concerned if any of that contents were to leak out into the atmosphere. You know, sulfuric acid is a corrosive at best. And which way would it be going? Which way would anything coming out of that tank would be going? If we go to weather one, I've just put together a little map. The accident itself is right there. It's at the crux of I-45 and the south side of the 610 loop. The winds are out of the south. They are light, but they are consistent at 8 to 10 miles an hour. So south wind at 10 miles an hour. So any neighborhoods just to the north of that, just north of on the Gulf Freeway, just north of the South 610 loop, that's the area of concern. Mm-hmm. As long as we don't see a whole lot coming out of that tanker, and every now and then you see on the left-hand side, I see some folks walking around there.
Right.
I believe that is hazmat and or fire department, and they're on the right-hand side looking live.
Right.
There are more people there, so. Hopefully that means that there's nothing leaking out of that tank.
And we just saw a truck pass there nearby. So clearly the immediate threat is over if we're seeing traffic pass there. And then it looks like the response has slowed down.
Yeah.
So just watching these visual cues here, it looks like the immediate threat is over with that fire being out. But we're going to wait to hear the official word there from hazmat as well. But in the meantime, it's always best just to take precautions, right? Maybe just go ahead and stay indoors if you don't have to be out this evening.
And once again, that is this tanker, which is hauling sulfuric acid in fire a little bit ago. The fire is out. It is right at the crux of the south side of the 610 loop. and the Gulf Freeway. So neighborhoods near there, let's just monitor the situation. If we were to get a sulfuric acid leak, if they determine that there is a leak, then they would immediately issue some sort of action to be taking place. We just had an update from our news desk.
Right.
At the moment, and if I heard correctly, at the moment, no action being taken.
Right. There's no evacuation. There's no shelter in place at the time. Any given orders. Again, we're waiting to hear from the hazmat chief, but that's what the Houston Fire Department is telling us at the moment. So sulfuric acid. I know you're asking, what is this? I asked the same. So just looking at notes from the CDC, mostly sulfuric acid. It's used in many different industries here, so no surprise. It's used to produce other chemicals, which is often the case with so much of our refining here in our refining region of Southeast Texas. You use one chemical and another chemical to make everything from plastics to refining oil to petroleum and such. So that's what it's really used in quite a bit. Also lead-based car batteries, another example as well. Outdoor workers who work in areas where coal, oil, or gas are burned, often in those situations. Other concerns for mechanics who handle dirty batteries. So you understand what it's used for. Now, in our very early preliminary research before we came on, we were taking a look at with sulfuric acid, natural sulfuric acid. A lot of what we were reading was that it doesn't burn, and you're not supposed to apply water to it. And it's interesting is we were watching the active fire, and we're going to get to those images for you in a moment. Right now you're seeing current real-time live video. But when we were watching the fire really burning and raging, what we noticed was we didn't see any water applied to it. So that makes sense considering what the chemical is here that we're seeing used.
Being a firefighter in Houston, with the myriad of different chemicals that we have on our roadways and coming out of the port, they know, they can immediately look at the tanker, see what's in it, and there are all sorts of protocol. Is it foam? Is it water? Is it no water?
Right.
Is it some sort of carbon dioxide they'll try to blow on it, because they have to be really careful with all of that. And do we have those images of earlier of that fire?
Okay.
So this is, when we saw this is when, red flags went up. That
100%, considering the size of the fire, the location of the fire, and what was inside that tanker, right? Because your first thought, even not knowing what the tanker is carrying, is, oh my goodness, this could be serious. This
Can it
could be a real
explode?
issue. Absolutely. Yeah. Could it explode? And what does that mean? Would we be looking at a chemical release? Fortunately, at this moment, we are not. That fire is extinguished. We're told that there is no immediate threat. There's no need for an evacuation or even a shelter in place. So those are all good things, especially if you live in that area or you're talking to a loved one that lives in that area. But, we always say just for the next hour or so, hang tight, stay where you are. That's always best practice in these situations until we find out even more definitive information for you at this time. But we've seen some activity there. We've seen people walking around, but we haven't really seen anyone approach per se the tanker or whatever was burning.
So it appears,
in the first place.
It appears the roads are open. And can we go to the traffic map? At last check, there was a lot of red, a lot of slowdowns here. So I'm sure they have at least partial lanes shut down on the south side of the 610 loop at I-45, the Gulf Freeway. It's going to be shut down down there.
We were hearing for a while that they were considering shutting it down in both directions, but in watching the live pictures, the live images here, we've seen cars make their way through. Now, what's interesting is, you can have two ramps here in Houston side by side, and I'm trying to recall in this part of town, I think that's often the case. So is that passing traffic that we're seeing actually on a different ramp itself? I'm going to assume so at this time. We have a reporter headed to the scene, and we're going to bring you more information. But as I even told our reporters early on when it was burning and we didn't know what was inside of there, and honestly, we didn't know much about sulfuric acid either. I was like, they need to be careful in their approach, because you just don't know what is being released there in the air, and quite frankly, what can explode and the impact and the debris fall and debris span there.
At least they've got what was either the cab fire or another car fire out. I don't see a lot of urgency. We see people milling around at the left-hand side of the tank there, and it looks like a person a little bit further off to the right. So, you know, they're standing next to it. They must believe that at least at the moment, there isn't an imminent threat for explosion, and perhaps it is not leaking. I saw them shining some lights up there to either get information off the tank to get its contents or to see if it was a leak. We don't see any visible leak, and at least for now, they seem to be acting in a relatively calm, steady pace.
And that is definitely reassuring in watching this type of situation play out as well. Time of day is interesting too. You know, this happened right at 7 o'clock, which is the tail end of rush hour. Although I joke and say it's always rush hour here in Houston, right? There's always traffic with this many people. But you can imagine, especially, you know, with the night sky, you're going to see that fire that we saw earlier when it was burning at its most intense fire. That was massive.
Yeah. Can we put those pictures back up?
Those are, you know, imagery that people were able to see from afar, I'm sure, and quite concerning for them as well, too.
Well, that's what got the newsroom activated and got us up here and on the air so that we can keep you informed what we're seeing. So if any action had to be taken in a hurry, you know, we can get the information to you right away. We're just kind of in a bit of a holding pattern right now.
And the news that we have thus far from HFD is encouraging. Once again, no evacuation orders, not even a shelter in place at this moment. They have no immediate concerns for any type of health issues with air quality. They're going to be monitoring though, and we're going to be awaiting or getting an update rather from the hazmat chief. We do have a reporter en route as well. Like I said, when this happened, this is the tail end of rush hour. So it might take some maneuvering getting there, and especially if we've had those lane closures as well too. The other good part about this, David Paul, I know you were saying the winds, it doesn't seem like the winds are intense at all tonight or much of a concern.
So the wind is important for a couple of reasons. Obviously, which way is it blowing? If we were to have a release, which way would the chemicals go? The wind is out of the south. It's blowing south to north at 10 miles an hour. So it would basically be from the south loop up the Gulf Freeway. But the lighter the wind speed, the more likely it is for what is burning to go up instead of drag along the ground.
Wonderful, right.
So lighter.
And that's what we want. We want it to go up
and
away, not spread out into the communities and the neighborhood.
So it's relatively light winds. They're out of the south. I see a couple of emergency vehicles are at least moving, but I don't see anything additional at the moment.
Yeah, like I said, it's encouraging in, you know, after seeing that raging fire, seeing them now moving at a slower pace. That means that there's no threat at the current time, just years of watching and observing scenes, and especially fires. You know that they have reacted and responded to this fire. The fire is clearly out. And again, HFD telling us at this time that they know of no chemical danger. So we're going to continue to follow this and monitor this for you. And just as soon as we get an update, we'll bring you that information. We'll come back on when we're able to hear from a response from the Houston Fire Department as well too.
Take it from the top with everything that we know.
Sure.
Okay.
So if you're just joining us and we're recapping for you, David Paul, Mia Gradney here. We also have our producer and joining us as well. We've been following what was a major traffic alert, a major fire, a tanker truck right at the South Loop East ramp headed to 45 South, and this is a convergence of ramps if you're familiar with that.
One of the spaghetti spots.
With the area as well too. But we had a fire there with the truck, not the tanker itself, as you're looking at live pictures right now. If you look to the right side of your screen, we're not looking at the live pictures right now. Oh, okay. So we're going to get to those live pictures for you. But what we see is that where the fire was burning, that has been extinguished, but it was not the tanker itself that caught fire. And that tanker was carrying natural sulfuric acid. That is a chemical. It's a chemical that's used quite a bit in the refinery industry, petroleum-based products, a chemical that's mixed with other chemicals to create other substances that are often used in those petroleum industries as well. But that fire first took place at 6:58 this evening. We watched it times, it raged, then it looked like it went out, then it looked like it resparked. But what we're trying to determine at this hour is exactly what was burning. Because we know the tanker itself carrying the sulfuric acid, we never saw any flames from it, but we saw a fire, and we're trying to determine, was it the cab of the truck, or was it an entirely different vehicle, or something else that was burning? And that's what we're going to be working to get you more information about, is exactly where that fire sparked and where those raging flames that we saw that was put out not too long ago, I'd say about 15 to 20 minutes ago. So it burned for a good 30 to 40 minutes. And of course, because of the nature of what that 18-wheeler was carrying, right, a chemical, and seeing these raging flames caused some concern, obviously. But in checking in with the Houston Fire Department and hazmat, the fire itself is out, and they're telling us at this time there's no evacuation orders, no shelter in place. They are monitoring air quality for any health concerns, but haven't found that to be of issue or high concern yet as well. And David Paul, we were talking about the winds here in this situation, and you were educating us as well about that on a night like tonight, you're seeing the winds go up versus spread out.
The stronger the winds, the longer whatever is burning, smoke or chemical, will stay near the ground. We want to see light winds to get that smoke or chemicals to rise up away from humans. So what we have are relatively light winds. There's a south wind at 5 to 10. That's good. That would allow whatever burns, whatever comes out of the tank, to most likely drift upwards and stay away from humans on the ground. That's one of the reasons why we checked the wind immediately. Also, of course, wind direction. It's out of the south, so this is on the south side of the 610 loop, entrance ramp to the Gulf Freeway. Neighborhoods just north of the South 610 loop along the Gulf Freeway. You would want to monitor this along with us very carefully, but at the moment, as we've been reporting, no leak, no action, just monitoring and hoping for the best.
Right. We've had a fire response thus far. So we had a large fire on the freeway here on this ramp at the South Loop East, headed to 45 South, one of those flyover ramps. We had the large fire there, a response to it. We have a reporter headed out to the scene who's going to meet with HFD. We know hazmat is also on the scene and get the latest information from them as well. We are going to come back on just as soon as that happens, but for now we'll leave you with the images of what is, thank goodness, a fire that has been extinguished there on the south side. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a little bit.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ron Trevino coming to you from Southeast Houston. We're right there on this ramp from 610. About an hour ago, or maybe less than that, there was a tanker truck that was carrying sulfuric acid. It caught on fire. As far as we know, no sulfuric acid caught on fire. No injuries. It appears the fire is out, but here at 610 and I-45, traffic is backed up because you've got parts of both freeways shut down as they do their investigation. We're hoping to learn more from officials and investigators as the night goes on. But I'm coming to you live from Tony T. Gulfgate, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. And Guinevere Cloud is one of the managers here. Guinevere, come on over here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tell us what happened, and what you saw and what you heard.
Well, it was just surprisingly that we saw the flames coming from the inside. We're on the floor doing what we do, and that's, taking care of customers. And we run outside, and there's a tanker truck that's on fire. I mean, blazing. And we knew that there was something inside the tank because we started hearing the boom. And we know that the flames were, increasingly getting bigger. And then we saw flames from the truck fall down from beneath the ramp down to the ground. Mm-hmm. And we were just figuring and hoping that there was no one inside of the truck.
Well, as far as we know, there were no injuries. Now, how many booms did you hear?
There was at least 4.
You heard
about 4
booms? They
yes.
sounded like explosions?
Oh yes. You could tell because it looked like from the inside of the cab, and it worked its way back to whatever was on the tank. And one of the customers was saying that there are several tanks, something like that, on a 18-wheeler, and this is what you get when the fire is continuing to spread to what's in the back of the truck.
Well, it must have been a frightening experience for the employees and the customers. What were you all thinking?
Well, we were just thinking that, what do we do? One of our staff members, he grabbed the fire extinguisher. He was wanting to run over to the part that fell down on the ground to see if he could extinguish it.
And there's just grass down below and straight
yes,
asphalt.
Yes, and you could see it burning there. But of course, management said, let's stay away because we didn't know how far the fire would spread or how much more fire could fall that would perhaps put him in danger. So we just was hoping and praying that, all was well. And the person was in the cab that they got out. That was our main concern.
Yeah, as far as we know, nobody has been injured. But so how long was it burning? For about 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
Oh, it was burned. It started burning probably shortly, after 6, and it burned for at least a good 30 to 45 minutes. It was just burning.
Did the thought ever enter your mind about maybe evacuating and just leaving?
Well, we did. We wondered. That's why we were certainly looking, trying to see how bad or how wide that the flames, because when we started to see them fall, we did abandon the showroom. We were all out here, so if the phone was ringing, we didn't hear anything because we were so concerned because we've got vehicles on our premises, and it doesn't take very much for a fire to spread.
So you were worried about your lives and the property and all the cars.
Oh yes, definitely. And we're just was hoping again that whoever was driving that truck, that they were safe. That was one of our concerns. But thankfully, we didn't have to leave the premises. But I think freeways were all backed up, and some of the employees couldn't leave at the time because there was blockades that was taking place at the time.
Yeah, and some of the roads are still blocked. There's still a lot of traffic out there. And a lot of your customers decided it was time to leave, or what?
Yes. Well, whenever that happened, they were trying to stay around for a moment or two, but then their concern was, can I get out? What's happening with that? And so some of the customers, they did, take it upon themselves to say, what, we understand emergencies happen, things happen, they can pick this up on tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Guinevere Cloud, thank you so much for joining us. Don't go away just yet. That's the scene out here in Southeast Houston. So the fire is out. You can see the lights up there. There's still some emergency crews out there, and no doubt investigators. This was a tanker truck that was carrying sulfuric acid. As far as we know, none of the sulfuric acid, none of the load was on fire, but there was a huge fire. We've got video of that of course, we'll have at 10 o'clock. And hopefully the authorities will give us some kind of update about how much longer that tanker truck's going to be up there and how much longer these roads are going to be blocked. Of course, we'll have a lot more coming for you tonight at 10 o'clock. And if there's an update between now and 10 o'clock, of course, we'll have that for you streaming right here on KHOU.com and all our platforms. But that's the scene from Southeast Houston. Ron Trevino, you can catch us at 10 o'clock.
Portion of the vehicle had caught on fire. Fire department was able to put that out. Fortunately, the tanker portion of the truck did not catch on fire. Had some kind of hydrochloric acid or something. So fortunately, that did not leak. There was no danger to the public. Right now, excuse me. Right now, TxDOT's at the scene. They're evaluating the bridge to see if there's any damage from the fire. I expect the scene to be cleared here in the next 2 or 3 hours. We just got a wrecker here right now. Once the wrecker clears it out, TxDOT will look at the bridge to see if there's any damage. I don't believe there's any, but we won't know until they do an evaluation.
Is it traffic coming through in one lane?
Yeah, so right now, the eastbound loop, everybody on the eastbound has to go southbound on the Gulf Freeway. The wreck is right on top of the bridge over the Gulf Freeway. For safety reasons, we had to shut the bridge down, so everybody has to go south and then turn back around.
How long? You said when did this come in? Sorry,
Came in at about 7 o'clock. TxDOT just got their cleanup crews here within the last hour or so. They also have engineering people to check the bridge. Like I say, I expect we'll be out here another 2 or 3 hours. Hopefully won't impact morning rush hour.
Any idea how it didn't spread? Was the driver able to put the fire out?
I don't know that. I know it's just the tractor portion of the tractor trailer caught on fire. Probably the engine or something caught on fire, so it was isolated to the front part of the truck. Fire department responded quickly with multiple units and was able to put out the fire quickly.
And no injuries? I'm assuming
Yeah,
the
no,
driver-
he got out. He's fine.
Okay. Anything else drivers need to be aware of if they're moving about? They think they're going to come this way tonight?
Yeah, just try to avoid this area for the next 2 or 3 hours. If you're going eastbound on the loop, for sure avoid it. North and southbound on the Gulf Freeway are moving pretty well. Westbound on the loop's moving pretty well. But that eastbound is a problem right now.
Anything else you think is important to add, or just grateful that?
No, just grateful. I'm grateful the truck driver's okay, and I'm grateful that the truck didn't leak. Because it's a very busy intersection here. 7 o'clock. If we'd had some kind of chemical incident, it'd been very hard to manage that. So.
And what was in the tanker again?
Some kind of acid, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. I'm not sure. So. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Once they told me about the leak,